life is the living proof. You will do what you say or do. You're the God of the follow through, and you will do what you say or do. Yeah. Oh, I believe.
Hey everybody, Jordan Houghton here from Sweetwater, sitting with my friend Joel Barnes. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. How you enjoying your time here so far?
I love it. It's a very, very interesting spot. I feel like you guys have the coolest job that I've seen thus far.
No, we do.
Yeah.
Like literally ranked.
Mm-hmm.
Better Business Bureau loves us.
Mm.
But man, no, I could not thank you more for coming and spending time with me and for performing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, talk me through a little bit about just your thought process while we were playing.
I don't necessarily think I had very many. I just was like, oh, okay, let's see what happens. I think I was more so like, I'm curious to see how this process works, because like I've done like recordings and stuff before, but it's like I'd never done something like intimate like this before, and I've always wanted to. I just didn't know when, how, or where we would do it. So like,
Yeah.
when I came in and we saw the setup, I was like, oh, this is just like I had imagined that something like this would go. I just didn't know what the music was gonna be or what the album was gonna be.
Yeah.
But I think it became the perfect like storm of things, like from the way that it was like mapped out, the song choices, the free forming, like on the spot number calls. Like I think all of it just felt like really, really unique and really, really special. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something that I know we did a lot of planning, but what happened was not something that we could have necessarily planned for. So
No, but I mean, that's kind of par for the course when it comes to how you are on stage or in anything ever. And I think that one thing that everyone's gonna see is that you cannot stay in the same spot
no.
for more than, I think you had a good 3.5 minutes stationary and then it was a wrap.
I would say more like 5. I had like 5 minutes in
5, I'll give you 5:15.
there. Yeah, 5:15 sounds.
And it was over. When that mic stand came back, I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to move. Like there's moments in like the music and in those like pockets of worship where like if I don't move, it feels like my body will explode. So I
Yeah.
have to move to release the like energy and like release the tension that's building up, because I'm like I feel so overwhelmed by the moment and by the music and by
Yeah.
like the presence that's it's like, man, I have to dance, I have to like bend, I have to bow.
Yeah,
I got the
yeah.
stuff from like Steph and Amanda and all of them. So
Right. Yeah, but there's something unique about when you are saying something and when you are singing something and when you are, I want to say performing, but when you're leading. Anytime that you're on stage, I've told you this too, but like it's like a format. And I don't think that it's a methodical thing. I think it just happens where you start and you're all cool. You know, you're just chilling. Like, oh guys, I'm Joe. I'm all cool. And then halfway through the song, you literally can't help it. And it looks like you start to connect deeper and deeper and deeper with what you're saying and what you're singing, even if you wrote the words, which plenty of words that you've written, thank God for it. But no matter how many times you sing these songs, the words come alive in different ways.
yeah.
So even today, let's talk through that. We were going on the pre-chorus. You just kept looping it and looping it and looping it, and I could feel it connecting more and more and more. And I know that like asking someone what happened on stage sometimes is like, I don't know, I can't remember. But do you remember what was going on like within yourself, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's so weird to explain, but like I think anytime that I like approach like those moments of like worship or those moments of leading, I think I leave so much room for the music to come alive or the music to like speak to me. I think there's some people that, no shade, like try to create a moment or try to make a moment happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't want to do that. I'll sing the record and see if it comes alive, and if it doesn't, we just get through the song.
Yeah.
But I leave so much room for the words, the lyrics, the production, the music to like build and like live and express itself.
Yeah.
Because I won't sing something that I don't believe. I refuse to sing things that I don't believe. Even if I have doubts about it, like if I believe it, then, because even then you can believe something even if you doubt it a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I believe it, I have to like leave room and let it like come alive. So basically it's almost like this small little flame starts. When I'm singing a lyric or something, it'll move, it'll flicker, and I'm like, okay, so that's the direction we should go in. And if I keep going there and it flicker, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we're headed the right direction. And before I know it, it's building, and then the flame starts to like build and get, it's like almost like, if you've seen those little things like the big circle of matches and it's like the little lines,
Yeah.
so it's like it just starts to move and
Right.
bounce. Before you know it, the entire thing just kind of like erupts into this massive fire. That's literally what it feels like. And I'm like, I have to sing it and I have to move.
Yeah.
I have to dance. I have to bow. I have to do something because I feel consumed with like what's happening in my like soul. So,
Right. It looks like that too. Like again, you can kind of see those little flickers happen. The video of Yahweh We Love You is a lot like that.
oh, bro.
And I've told you this too, but when you start to go into some of those moments and you start to let go and that whole explosion happens, it's so infectious that it starts to spill out onto the rest of the team wherever you're at. I don't know if you've noticed that. So if you haven't seen that video, by the way, go find it on your own time after this and watch what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It happens in Altar too, especially that second bridge.
Oh my God, I know. You went down on that down verse, and then they hit to the 2-4, end of the bridge. It was like, oh, I kind of knew. And you were doing that. You have like this signature move. I don't know if you know it. Do you know? Do you know what I'm saying? Not that one. When you
Okay.
start going for it, it's a new one. I didn't see it until the Yahweh thing, but I've seen it a few times. You have like a little wind up.
Oh yeah, the windmill.
You be out here.
The windmill. That's
I
new.
saw it on that. I was like, oh, all right. And then I saw it Wednesday night. You were performing the Clyde. I was like, here we go. Now I
Yeah.
got to figure out how to do that with
It's
my
through.
shoulder popping.
Might tell your rotator cuff. No, I don't know where it came from. The windmill is definitely new.
Well, it felt right, and you kind of can't get away from it now.
I literally lean into whatever like happens in my body has to move.
Yeah.
So whichever direction it moves in, we're just gonna lean into it. But
You
yeah,
don't play
the
no
wind up.
games.
It started with the bend. Like I used to like bend and like let my my upper body dangle and like
You still
I would
do that a
twist.
little bit.
And then it went to like this like I don't know like this like wacky wailing flavor like to
Yes.
like it started that
Like a
and
little
then-
weeble wobble, but they don't
Yes,
fall down.
and then the
That's
wind-
what I'm
I don't know,
talking
it
about.
just kind of evolved
Because you
as
got
the
a
season-
base that'll preach.
Yeah.
Because it's weighted on the bottom. You know, he said he wobbles because there's a firm foundation. you
Yeah, there's
know?
a firm foundation. All right, be careful. But yeah,
Yeah, you move so much. It reminds me how much asthma I have. So I want to say
we're gonna
thank
pray
you.
for that
Yeah, tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Not today. We have so much to do. When I see you on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and when I see that little flicker moment, and kind of just how it builds,
Mm-hmm.
is that how your songwriting process goes too? So you come in confident, and you come in kind of already at the peak of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's this like excitement that happens when you get to write with people that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
But in new sessions, does it kind of build like that?
No, I think it just depends on like what's happening. Like if I'm coming in with a concept and I'm already excited about it, then I come in on 100 ready to like explain like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling. I want it to feel like this, or I want it because like I hear a lot of things simultaneously in my head. Like sometimes I won't have the lyric yet, but I'm like, I'll have the feel of what I want. So it's like,
Right.
hey, I want there to be a swing. Like I need the drums to swing this
Yeah,
way. Or
yeah.
I need the progression to feel like this, or I need this emotion to be kind of like expressed. Or if I do have a lyric or concept, I'm like, I'll try to like hash out the chords or the numbers and be like, this is what I'm thinking, and then we'll figure it out from there. If it's straight off the cuff of like, we're just talking, and I think a lot of the best songs come from just casual conversation and nosediving, then it's different. It's like I've been a guy where I'll sit in a room and I'll just kind of listen and see what like happens. Like I try not to force anything.
Right.
I try to like always create from a pure place and from a place of stillness or from a place of like waiting. I don't like to rush into anything. I like to like get all the information I can, and when something stands out, I'll know, and then I'm like, okay, let's pull that thread and see where it leads. You know what I mean? So I think when I'm writing with new people, or if it's a new space, I'll kind of just sit back and listen and I'll ask questions like, okay, but like, say more about that, explain that, help me understand. And once I find the thread where we have common ground or common understanding, I'm like, oh, okay, I see where you're headed. I see what it's clicking to and connecting to in my own like chest and flame.
Right.
Great. Now we can like, I can help you figure this out.
Yeah.
And like navigate how this can like come alive. Like I tell people all the time, like if you're a songwriter or an artist or creative or a dreamer of any point, you understand this. There's this like, for me, like with these albums I was telling you about that I'm working on, like
Yeah.
they live in like my chest. and it keeps me up at night sometimes, to the point it's like it's knocking on the door of my heart and on the door of my chest, saying like, I need you to give me a physical form to live in.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I can hear the songs getting together and banging on the door saying, give us a project to live in and exist in. Otherwise, you will not get a wink of sleep tonight. We refuse. It's like we have to like live in the physical world.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really weird and sounds really creepy, but it's like, that's how I feel like dreams are with people. That's how I feel like music is with people, or any kind of art or any kind of painting. It's like you get woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't get to sleep until you hash out the chord progressions, or until you get the paint out and put it onto the canvas, or until you get up and like sit in the computer and design the merch or design the like clothing. It's like it strikes you random times. So I like to just let those things like exist or come in waves as they come and go. So that's usually my approach.
Has that always been your approach when it comes to writing songs, and even when you're on stage? Like when you were with Eddie James, was it like that?
Yes, and an equally resounding no. Like I think my first year in EJM, I knew nothing about like worship or the art of worship, or even the worship like culture in music. My reference point for Christian music at that time was anything like gospel. So the Winans, the Clark sisters, like Donnie McClurkin and Yolanda Adams for him, and like I was so like engulfed in that. My only other reference point was like Casting Crowns. So I knew nothing about Hillsong, knew nothing about Bethel, nothing about Jesus Culture,
Those
nothing
are
about
very
IHOP.
different worlds.
Those
are
very different
literally
worlds.
opposite ends of the spectrum.
Polar opposite. So I'm like, I had no clue about any of that. So when I started traveling with Eddie, that's when I got introduced to that stuff. And I was like, none of this makes sense to me, but I'm looking around and I'm seeing what God is doing in the room. And I'm like, I want it to make sense. So I'm just going to stick it out until I figure it out. So then I was imitating until I got my own understanding. So I would imitate like my friends around me. I would imitate like the worship leaders at Bethel. I would imitate the Stephanies and the Amandas and the Jeremy Riddles and the Jen Johnsons. I would imitate and just like try to recreate what was happening. And then there was a point that I was just like, I'm so inspired by them. And I felt God telling me like, yeah, but you realize they're inspired by me. If you would only get inspired by me, like you would do what they do without ever aiming at it. And I was like, interesting. Okay.
Good thought. Yeah.
Good thought. You know what I mean? So I think at that point it went from imitation to like gleaning and being like, all right, I understand your heart posture and I understand the freedom that you give us to like express ourselves through the music. Like body language, moving, bending, twisting, bowing, like kneeling, all the things. But now I'm able to like go and grasp a different, like my own revelation, my own understanding, my own history, my own relationship. And I was like, that was the like secret sauce for me.
Yeah.
So then I stopped trying to wear my brother's armor in so many words and literally like inherited my own. I started inheriting my own revelation, my own approach, my own art form, my own voice in it. And at that point, everything changed for me internally.
For sure.
So yeah.
Did you reach that point before you got into Mav?
Yeah.
So it was on the Eddie James journey.
Yeah, that's where it started.
For sure.
Yeah.
And where did it end?
It hasn't ended.
Hasn't ended. Fantastic answer.
It's an ever-growing process. Like it never, I don't think it ever ends. I think the more you spend time with the Lord, the more you like learn and the more you realize that there is to learn. You know what I mean? Like I've technically been like leading worship for the better half of 10 plus years. And I feel like I still know nothing, because every time you step like into your secret place and you lead worship, just you, yourself, your instrument in the Lord, you learn something different about his nature, about his character, about his face, about like his history, you know what I mean? About how he thinks, about how he moves. Like you're always learning. And the thing is, I secretly have always tried to be my best to be a student. I'm always listening. I'm always trying to understand. I'm always trying to find like the information. I'm always trying to like learn something new. Like, oh wow, I didn't see that before. I didn't notice that before. Oh, I didn't peep that. Whether if it's like theology, whether if it's like science, whether if it's like I watch Animal Planet, so I'm always learning things. I'm always trying to be a student.
For sure.
And I think the more I leaned in to try to learn, the more I realized like his makeup is in every detail and in every framework and in every fabric of our lives. So like now I can watch Animal Planet and look at like how he designed it and how their makeup and their nature in all of it. I'm like, oh, you've like woven yourself into all of this. Like it's one big tapestry to just show like your excellence and like show your majesty. So like it's an ongoing process. And the more I learn about him, the more I learn about myself. And I'm just like, how did you think of this? And how do you keep surprising me every day with something new that I never would have seen before? So even things that are ancient, like I think when we did the album The Good Shepherd, I'm like, this is old. Like I've read this entire chapter my entire life, but for some reason today it unravels completely different than the previous 29 years that I was alive. Right. Somehow in year 30 it like unravels differently, and I'm like, oh, I'm learning something completely different about your nature now and about your heart for me now. So like it's always an ongoing process.
We talk about that a bit on the record. You have the Good Shepherd testimony. Which I thought was funny. You had spoken about there being technical difficulties, and you just took a moment. You're like, well, while we're
here, let's talk about
trying to figure it out, let's talk. But you said something about Psalm 23 and how your favorite line in that was, "Thou anointest my head with oil."
Yes.
And that was the one that at the time was really speaking to you.
Yes.
Is there a different one now that after you said you had been digesting the thing for 10 months?
Yeah.
I assume that process hasn't exactly ended.
No.
Because when you're impacted by something that much, you don't necessarily go away from it.
No.
So from then to now, is there a different line that's been like speaking to you that maybe you've written another couple out?
I still love that line because of how like weighty and impactful it has been. And the more I look around, I'm like, yeah, we need the oil.
Yeah.
I think now, the line that I would say is like messing me up today is you maketh me lie down in green pastures, especially because like in the book it talks about sheep won't lie down because their only defense mechanism is to run. Whenever trouble comes, they run. They don't, so they have to be on their feet because they don't have any defenses. They don't even have nose hairs to defend against like insects. They have no defenses against like prey or against predators. They are the prey. So against predators have no protection except for to run. But for some reason, whenever they see the shepherd or sense the presence of the shepherd, they will lie down because they know everything is going to be taken care of. So they won't lie down for several reasons. One, they have to be on their feet ready to run at any given moment. Two, the sun is beaming down. So it's like they'll literally be cooked if they just lie down and just take the sun, so they always have to stay on their feet to try to like keep cool. Three, like if they're hungry, they won't lay down. They're like, I need to be up and around and trying to find the best like grass to graze. If they're thirsty, you know what I mean? They need the protection and the provision of the shepherd at all times. So if he's not around, they're like, well, I got to provide and protect myself. I got to find the right thing to eat. I got to find the right thing to drink. I got to find something shady to like lay under or whatever. So they won't lay down because they're like, they can't do it themselves. But somehow when they sense the presence of the shepherd, there's a calmness that enters the entire herd, and they all immediately lay down because they're like, I know that he's going to provide the food I need. He's going to provide the water I need. He's going to lead me to where there's shade. And he's going to make sure that I'm protected from any predators. I've seen him do it in history. So it doesn't matter if I see a wolf far off. I'm not even going to budge and be on my feet because I know he won't be able to get to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's messing me up now. And I'm like, I'm just really grateful that you go before me, prepare the way, and make sure everything I need is taken care of. What I eat, what I drink, where I sleep and lay my head. Like, even to the point that whenever I step into a space to like work or a conversation to like sign a contract or whatever, it's like you've already gone before me and like looked over everything and double checked to make sure that I'm in the safest place possible. It's like, so I can actually lay down and like choose rest and choose stillness because you've already like went before me, prepared the way so that my transition can be easy. So I think I'm full of gratitude because of that like line today. Yeah.
Sounds like about 7 songs are coming from that one line, so we're ready for it.
I mean, Living Proof is one of them. You know what I mean? Like it's like you said you would do it, and I'm looking around. It's like going from dreaming about it to like now it's underneath my feet. Yeah. And I'm like I've stepped across the line in the sand into the thing that you promised. You know what I mean? It's like in Exodus, and they go into the promised land. It's like to go from desert into the promise is such an interesting thing. It's like we've dreamed about it for years, decades. People have died dreaming about this thing. If somehow, some way, I'm one of the people that gets to live in it. You know what I mean? It's like I thought it was a myth at this point. Like I was sure, but I wasn't sure. And then all of a sudden, like my my feet crossed the threshold, and now I'm living in it. And it's like it takes an adjustment to live in it.
For sure.
It's like I'm used to sand. I'm not used to green grass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm used to carrying a thing of water, not like to an endless stream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm used to like the manna from heaven provision. I'm not used to like picking up grapes off the tree and it's flourishing and it's fruitful and it's colorful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because that probably feels a little bit like your transition from EJM to question mark, and then from that to Mav, and then from Mav to your own stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. I think I'd been given promises from the Lord around like 2018, 2019, which was after like our like EJM days. Because I think everybody was called to the nations in like 2014 through 2018. Everybody got the prophetic word.
You're going to change the
You're gonna
world.
change the world. You're called to the nations. You're called to go with you. And I'm just
Tomorrow, by this time next month.
And then, you know what I mean? Someone had a very real conversation with me, and they were like, here's the thing. This is very vulnerable. They were like, you think you're going to leave this ministry, and when you leave, everything's going to take off for you. And they're like, that's not how this works. You actually might leave and go home.
Yeah.
And then you have to wrestle with the fact that everything around you, none of it looks like what God promised you.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do? You know what I mean? So then I'm like, I went home, and I was at home for about, I would say 6 months. I tried to work at a factory for 3 months, and I was miserable. And yeah, anyway. And then I went from there to couch surfing with Aaron and Dante in 2019.
Right.
And I remember top of 2019, I got a prophetic word from this guy. Anyway, I won't even get into that, but
that's the B-side.
He just gave me he like laid out a bunch of things. So when we're writing promises, believe it or not, it started with a conversation of like, well, where are you at? What are you and the Lord talking about? And I was like, be honest, I'm in the waiting season, and it is very difficult. I'm waiting to see what God promised me. It's like I don't need him to do it now, but I do need him to like help my doubting heart and help my unbelief, because like the waiting is very difficult. You know what I mean? And I think I'm not trying to rush him, but this is hard. You know what I mean? It's hard being in the position where you're like, the promise from God feels so massive, and I am in a very dry and minute season. It is, you know what I mean? Like Ben Hastings talked about this. He said that like we get a promise from God, and we think the next moment that we wake up that it's going to be Christmas. We're going to walk outside, and it's going to be this fully grown tree of the promise that overnight God caused that thing to sprout out the ground and become so fruitful. And he was like, so when you walk outside and you see the leaves falling off the trees around you, and then you see the winter come, you're like, none of this looks like what you promised me.
Right.
What am I supposed to do with that? So we decided to write a song that would help encourage us in the waiting season. He said, here's the thing though, sequoia trees need harsh winters in order to grow. That's why they can't grow in Florida, because it doesn't get cold enough. But they need things around them to die off. They need the brittle winter for them in order for them to grow, otherwise they won't grow. But he said if the process is done right, they're the tallest and sometimes the oldest trees in the world. They get hundreds of feet tall and they live for thousands of years.
Yeah.
The promise of God is not just for your lifetime, it's for the lifetime of your lineage.
Absolutely.
Like it's for the people coming after you. And it might take a little bit. It might take some harsh winters in order for it to like, but it's necessary. It's doing something in the seed form that will outlive you, and the branches will spread out across like entire like generations, and it'll produce fruit. It's like, especially if you're doing it from like in obedience to the Lord, it's like you'll be trying to. The scripture says you'll be planted by streams of living water, and you'll produce fruit in every season, not just like once a year.
Right.
So it's such an interesting like thing. So we just wrote it to be like, well, Lord, until we see it in the doubting seasons, we'll sing this over ourselves to encourage ourselves in the Lord until we do see it. So then that happens. We write that. We recorded January 2020. COVID happens March of 2020.
Yep.
I think I'm living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom like brick house with a complete stranger. Never met in my life.
Yep.
I think I had $100 in my account, in my bank account,
and you have to give it to that stranger.
Literally, like I couldn't even afford the rent for the space for that time. And then I'm like, Lord, you liken us to trees. So, and that Sunday before, my pastor preached about how peach trees have the ability to produce fruit in the first year that they're planted, but the vine dresser will pinch the buds for the first 2 years because while it can produce fruit, it's not healthy to produce fruit because what you're called to carry will kill you if you carry it prematurely.
That's dope.
The tree isn't strong enough to bear the weight of the fruit that it's called to carry. It will kill it. So then it's like, I was like, okay, Lord, pinch every bud. Pinch every bud that you have to. Just let one piece of fruit grow. Because I think I need to hand this to like my parents, my siblings, my friends, and even myself to remind myself that this path that I'm on with you actually works. You pinch every bud, let one piece of fruit grow, and then whenever you're ready to give me a tree, I'll wait on the tree. But this will at least help my doubting heart. I go to sleep that night. I get up the next morning. Promises is released on Instagram. And by the end of the week, it had 100,000 views. It released on Tribal app, because the Tribal app was very new back then.
Throwback.
And then the week after that, it released on YouTube. And by the end of the month, it had like 2 million views.
Crazy.
And by the end of the next month, it had 6 million. And after that, it had like 9 to 10 million. I was like, so then I look back a year later, 2 years later, I'm like, Lord, if you did that with one piece of fruit, I am terrified to see what you would do with a tree.
Yeah.
Because you plant the one piece of fruit, you get a tree. You plant fruit from one tree and you get an orchard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, cool. Like whenever you're ready to give me a tree, I'll wait on it. And then from a tree, we'll try to, plant a vineyard or plant an orchard. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to like, I feel like I'm at the tree point now where God is like, trusting me to inherit a tree to like, divvy out the fruit and like give to his people so that we can collect the seeds and then plant a vineyard. And I think even if I don't see the vineyard or the orchard, I think my kids will see the vineyard or the orchard or my grandkids will see it.
Yeah.
And I think the decision that we make now will set them up for the totality of it, but also like they'll be able to come back to the first tree and be like, this is what like dad believed for or granddad believed for. And God did exactly what he said he would.
Yeah.
He gave him one piece of fruit that grew him a tree, and that one tree made way for the vineyard or the orchard.
Yeah.
So Living Proof is probably the like song that is like resting on me right now.
For sure. That song messed me up. I told you that. Probably every song has, if I dive more into them, like I told you outside, hide and seek, I had to pull over. So I'm listening to the lyrics. I'm like, let me find something in it. And I found something in every line. I was like, let me just stop. let me just not blow past this red light. While I'm driving to your songs is dangerous, and I don't recommend it.
Listen,
I want
man.
people to listen to it, but I want them to stay safe before the ugly cry. You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
But every song that I listened to, I felt like I saw more of your life, and more of how God has moved in you and through you. And I've seen more of how your mom raised you and how much you looked up to your brothers.
Yeah.
And even through trauma and loss and heartache and ups and downs through every single moment of your life, I have seen how you've come out on top of that and how it has built you. Yeah. Every single line on this record speaks to that.
Man, listen, let me mess you up with hide and seek. So I remember.
Please do. Okay, I need to tell everyone what my favorite line is.
Okay.
It's back when time was our only audience. I struggle to say this on camera because I want people to think that I'm nice. I could have hit you. I could have just, not a close fist, but I thought about it. That is one of the most well-written things that I've ever heard. Yeah. And I was like, man, you were deep in your bag with that one.
I just wanted the song to actually feel like hide and seek. I wanted to feel like playful. I wanted it to take people to the spot of like, for the people that have siblings or the people that have like, or that were only children, I wanted it to feel like you're back in your backyard at home, running around, not a care in the world. You're not even worried about like, you're not thinking about time. You're not thinking about like the things that you think about as an adult. Like when you're an adult, like your brain never shuts off because you're thinking about what bill needs to be paid or what person needs to be like talked to, or like what phone call you need to make, what meeting you got to take, what you have to feed your family. Like you think about all of these things, you know what I mean? And your brain never shuts off. But as a kid, it's just about being in the backyard. You lose track of time every time you're out there. You're literally just playing in the sandbox, or you're literally climbing the jungle gym, or you're literally just running around with a stick that's in the shape of a gun and like trying to play cowboys and Indians. Like you're not thinking about anything. And I'm like, I want a line that would kind of encapsulate the childlikeness that comes with the territory. But also what's crazy is I wept to that song one day. I went back home to visit like my parents. My parents still live in Kentucky to this day. And one of my cousins lives on the property that I grew up on. Now, on that property, when I first moved there with my mom, she bought me this like lighthouse jungle gym thing. So it's a swing set attached to it. Well, the swing set's gone, but it's a lighthouse, and there's 3 levels. There's the base level, you climb into the middle. There's a little side like exit like door that you can kind of go out and look out, and then there's a very top that's like actual like lighthouse, and you can just look around. And it was a country town, so I grew up in cornfield. So when you get to the top, you just see an ocean of like corn for miles. And I remember playing in it as a kid, just having the time of my life, right? So I went back and I'm just around hanging out. I go to see Lighthouse just for nostalgia's sake, and God took me back to his vantage point of those days. And he was like, you have no idea, but I was tracing your steps even when you didn't recognize I was there in the backyard. I was literally chasing you up and down that like lighthouse. While you're literally yelling, I'm the king of the world at the top of the lighthouse, overseeing the ocean of corn. I was there. And I thought about it, and I was like, if that's the case, like you and I had a different relationship back then, even if I didn't recognize it, like that was when I was a kid, and I hadn't met disappointment yet. I didn't know grieving. I didn't know loss. I didn't know like burying a relative. I didn't know heartbreak from relationships. I didn't know disappointment at the time. Because all grief did, disappointment, loss, lamenting did at the time was cause me to be more defensive. I learned as an adult to have shields and armor and fences with barbed wire, and I had a sniper on the roof to protect my heart at all costs. And I'm like, I hate that you have to go through this entire process of getting through all of my defenses and all of my gates and all of my security just to get to this heart, because if no one was gonna protect it, I had to. But I hate that it takes you that long to get through all of this stuff. I hate that you had to prove yourself trustworthy to get through. I'm like, I don't want that anymore. Take me back to when I was a kid in my backyard, when getting to my heart was easy. You didn't have to fight through all of my weapons. You didn't have to fight through like my guard dogs that are like protecting me at all. Like I felt safest with you then, and I want to feel safest with you now. So take me back to that. So I'm in my car weeping, a weeping mess, because I'm like, God, I hate that disappointment made me feel like you were never safe when you've always been safe. I hate that heartbreak made me feel like, well, I got to protect myself because no one else will. You know what I mean? In so many ways, I'm like, I've become the version of myself that I needed when I was a kid. And I hate that you had to be the casualty for that. Our relationship had to be the casualty for that. Because you were innocent this entire time. So I was grieving and I was grateful, and I was like an emotional wreck driving back. And so now that lighthouse image represents so much more to me than just like the nostalgia. It's like, it reminds me like, now every day that I like open my life up to the Lord, I'm like, you're not gonna have to get through the defenses. And you'll teach me how to like protect myself a different way, or you'll be the protector from this point on. You'll be the shepherd. But no more like armor in front of you. No more weapons and shields and defenses and snipers and barbed wire. Like you get to have direct access.
I've listened to this song too many times. I'm not gonna tell you the number, but
Is there such thing as too many?
Yeah. Especially because we're friends. I'm like, I should probably we just chill. But the first time I heard it, I was just blown away by the picture that it could paint in anyone's mind. But then I really thought about it, and obviously the thing that stands out the most is just the fact that audience is in it. It was that childlike innocence is before the spotlight even got turned on or set up. And I think that with you and what you've experienced with Maverick City Music and this massive explosion that it was, and then arena tours and all this stuff, it's a pretty substantial magnifying glass and spotlight. And I think that what I heard in that was you wanted to go back to the times in that 2-bedroom brick house with a stranger. It's a different kind of songwriting. It's a different kind of worship. It's a different kind of relationship that you have with God, because there's no thousands or millions. There's none of that.
I think you
Do
probably
you-
have unlocked a different door just by talking about this.
But
than
my
being able to
question
sit
on
with-
that is, I thought you thought about this, but maybe not. Do you think that this, when the spotlight grew, it got harder to maintain that innocence?
I think for a lot of us in the beginning, yeah, it was a culture shock for sure. It was really different.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm always a student, so I remember before the music started to like move and before God started to like trust us with influence and reach, I was afraid of failure. I was afraid it would never work. I was afraid I was gonna have to go back to like any kind of like job that I hated or that just never felt like anything that didn't light my soul up, like anything that didn't make my soul feel alive. But then it started to work and music started to move and a different fear was exchanged for that one. I no longer feared failure. I feared success because I was watching influence and reach, not change, but reveal people's nature and their character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very interesting how wealth, influence, reach can cause some of the closest people to you to become strangers.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And I think I sat with the Lord one time and I was like, if this is gonna change me for the worse, I'd rather not have it. I'd rather stay in this 2-bedroom with this stranger and figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't wanna lose who I am internally. I like who I am. I like who I'm becoming. And I don't wanna lose that because of reach. And it's a thing that I like stand on to this day. Anybody that has known me in my history, they always have the same statement. Bro, you're the same person I've always known. I'm like, because I fight to stay that way. I don't care about platforms. I don't care about reach. I don't care about influence. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I want my mom to see me and I'm the same person. I want my nephews to see me and I'm the same person. I want my little brother to see me and I'm the same person. You will not get a facade out of me. You will not get a persona out of me. It is just Joe. And I think we've watched so many people. I'll say this, and it might sound very harsh, but I just saw people's lives that I was inspired by, and I was like, but I don't necessarily want what they have. While it looks great on this side,
Yeah.
there's another side that we don't know about that I'm like, that doesn't look so great. We find out later. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I looked at Billy Graham, and I'm like, this is a man that was a pastor of like presidents and actors and musicians. Like, he was known like globally for his ministry. But when he was gone so long that he didn't recognize his own daughter when he got home. Who's that little girl in our front yard? That's your daughter. You didn't even recognize her.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be successful in my career that I fail in my relationships. They asked him at 80, like 80, 85, if you could do it anything, if you could do it all differently, what would you do? He was like, I would travel so much less.
Yeah.
I would pray a lot more, spend more time with my family, and I would tell God how excited I am to spend eternity with him.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things that we're gonna do here, but like, I'm excited to spend eternity with you. And then I started finding people that were a part of his ministry, and I'm like, if y'all could do it all over again, because they had given 20, 30 years of their life to it.
Yeah.
They're like, I'd travel less. I would have taken my kids on way more vacations. I would have made more memories. And I'm like, that's usually the common thread.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, got it. All the traveling in the world, all the platforms in the world, you'll get to the end of your life and be like, I should have taken more vacations. I should have spent more times making memories on the couch watching stupid movies with my kids. I should have been in the backyard playing freeze tag and chasing my kids around with the water guns. Like, so I'm like, oh, that's the stuff that matters. I would watch like J. Cole interviews and he was just like, I thought success meant this. And then it became like a drug. I had to get the next check, the next set of followers, the next whatever. And it's like, it was a never ending, like, it was a moving target.
Right.
It was never going to be satisfying. He's like, what I realized was actually satisfying is like making memories with my mom, trying to be present with my siblings, trying to be present with my person and my kids. Like, that's the stuff that's like timeless and priceless. So when I started seeing that stuff, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put my emphasis on that. So whenever the end of the first tour, the only tour I did with Mav came, I called some of my mentors. I'm like, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make memories. I'm gonna go be more intentional with my little brother. He's about to go off to college. Let me just spend some time.
Yeah.
Let me go spend time with my friends. Let me go make memories. Let's go get on Velocicoaster, Universal. Let's go and hang out. Like, let me go spend time with my pastors not just at the church, but on their couch. Let's talk and watch dumb Christmas shows and like, let's make memories. I think I'm like, that's the stuff that really matters.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that you won't regret, like at the end of all of this, because the music will fade eventually. Those memories are like timeless pieces. So I think I never really cared about the audiences, so that's why I never thought about it. But I think it's interesting to think about now, like.
Yeah, on this side of it.
On this side of it, it's like like I said, I think you unlock something like, yeah, time was the only audience. There was nobody out there but corn and grass and the lighthouse. But it was just me in the backyard.
Right.
I didn't have stages, but I was singing the top of my lungs at the top of a lighthouse.
It feels different.
It's different, yeah.
And I think that I've told you this too before, but I can't get it out of my head that this record and all these songs are unbelievable reminders for people that are in ministry and that people that are in church and people that are leading stuff to get back to some of those things. And even remind them, in an altar, you've got a line that says, you don't need 4 walls, you don't need an altar call. You meet me right wherever I am. And you've said before that altar calls in church feels like a walk of shame.
Oh, it used
right?
to, yeah.
So there is that thing that like, oh, you see Jimmy came to the front. He was out there at the club on Saturday. I'm so glad and that's what they sound, that's, you got Auntie and them just roasting this poor kid alive. And he's just trying to give his heart back to the Lord.
Yep.
I think that line, and I know the veil was torn because I feel you everywhere, was for people in ministry that have a hard time trying to find him outside of Sunday, and have a hard time trying to find him outside of a work context. Yeah. Because then you see people that are in church that just, they feel like they have to do it and it's obligatory just to work better. But that's kind of where I found myself after a bit. So when I started listening to the record, I was like, oh, Lord, let me hold on. Put my headphones on and listen to this by myself before I wake up people with my tears. But no, there's a lot to see. Sometimes it's hard to see the depth of what you do until you talk to somebody else that it impacted. Yeah. So I'm a mess when I listen to your records. So thank you for writing things the way that you have. Please don't do it again. Okay. I can't handle it.
I make no promises.
I'm just kidding.
I would say I make no promises.
So
no pun intended.
It was just for you, Connor. You are like one of the fastest writers alive. You will do it in the middle of a set. You in Wrong About You that you did with New Breed.
Oh yeah.
You said it sets me free, and then you kind of like mumbled obsessed with me, and so I could see your wheels turning. Because something just clicked, which it did even here earlier today. You just like get into this moment and you're like, oh, I gotta say what I gotta say. I have to start putting words to what I'm feeling. And then the third pass, you had the whole thing. Set me free. You're not upset with me, but you're obsessed with me. And now I know the truth. And I lost my mind when I heard that. I'm like, bro, how do you in 10 seconds write something that's better than what someone can do in hours? And I don't think that you're trying to like sit there and flex. It's just something that comes out that's honest. But your wheels start turning, and I bet that probably happens in your writing sessions too. Can I test you? Sure. And by can I mean I'm going to. Okay. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable, because listen, if it doesn't go well, we can just cut it. Okay. We're not gonna cut it. Let me try to. Let's hope I'm in tune with this one, because
it came off.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see, what key you like? C, D?
Usually B flat, but C's fine.
Ooh, I ain't got no capo.
Yeah,
you got C.
This do C. Yeah. You're the same God who's on the mountain, same God in the valley. No matter where I run to, you'll trace my steps and shadow me. If I lose my way and go wayward, you will always find right there.
I told you.
Your goodness isn't based on my behaviors, but you're good, and there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, you never change, you stay the same. Not on me,
Yeah.
and it's in your name. You never change, you stay the same. I will remain, 'cause it's in your name. Oh, it's in your name.
Oh.
Oh.
Come on. Come on. Remember that one time I was like, you're like one of the quickest writers?
No.
You just wrote like half of a song
No.
right now.
Just...
Nobody take it. Nobody take it. Okay, copyright that before. No, I'm joking.
You don't have to worry about it.
What the heck, man?
No, man.
No, for real. So when you start hearing something, I kind of noticed you, I mean, it's kind of difficult when there's like cameras and stuff, and so you feel like you're mad on the spot. But I watched that fade away real fast.
Yeah.
And you started kind of just feeling what was happening. How was that the first thing that came to your mind? Like, is it, when you are on the spot writing something, do you normally just go to something that you've been feeling for the past few days, or something that you feel in the moment? Or as you start going to scripture and going, which one can I write down now? Scripture.
I think I learned this from Eddie. He said, if you ever want God to respond, sing his word. So I try my best to do that, but I try my best to do it in a very creative way. You know what I mean? I think it's very easy to say, like, the scripture, like, weeping may endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. So you can sing that, or you can say, in the middle of the night, and when your tears are falling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to find a unique way to sing scripture that will, like, resonate with me. It's like, oh, I've never heard it that way.
Yeah.
So I think when I'm feeling something, I'm like, that's the scripture. Okay, how can I say that doesn't sound like anything we've ever heard before? So I'm always trying to find the most unique way to sing scripture and sing the text. But sometimes just singing it the way it's written in scripture will honestly cause the Lord to respond and cause the flame in me to flicker. I'm like, you know what I mean? So the word is infallible, and I think if you sing his word, if you sing his truth, your being will respond, and the Lord will respond. So I think that's usually like my go-to. Like, and if you sing scripture, you'll always be, theoretically sound. It'll always be doctrine. Because that's the one thing we have to have in worship. You have to be theologically sound.
Yeah. You'll get roasted alive online every single time.
If it's not,
like, real fast.
Oh man.
You'll hear about it in 2 seconds on Instagram. You should have said it like.
Yes.
No offense.
Or all offense.
You know what? Shade included, free of charge. So in terms of like melodies and lyrical approach, I know that you're like a big Lucky Day fan.
Oh man, listen.
I know. And you told me to listen to his album, and I don't always listen to people's suggestions, but you were like, no.
Listen.
You don't understand. And then I put it on and I was like, Eric, he's right. I didn't understand. Have you taken anything from that, like melodically or lyrically, for some of the stuff that you just started writing not too long ago?
Maybe not necessarily melodically, but like the feel for sure. Like, and then I'm working on this new stuff, and I'm like, there's a few different like projects I've been listening to. Lucky Day is one of them. Algorithm is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Believe it or not, Need to Breathe, like Out of My Body.
All right.
Like, that album is iconic. You know what I mean? Like, I was telling the guys earlier, I've been going backwards and listening to some old stuff, like old Beatles stuff.
Yeah.
as well as
Yeah.
like Bob Marley Exodus. So like my brain is one big melting pot of music right now, but every time that I've recommended the Lucky Day album to somebody, they're like, oh, I heard it, it was cool. I'm like, no, you didn't get it.
No.
Give it a second listen
Yeah.
and listen for these records. And they'll go back and they're like, oh, you were right. Like it's so iconic. The marketing was terrible. But Lucky, if you see this, I'm sorry. But the marketing was terrible. But the music is iconic.
It is.
It's iconic. So I don't know, man. I think this new stuff that we're working on, I want it to feel timeless. I think what I want personally is the lyric to be so undeniable and the music to be not euphoric, but easy to get lost in. Like if it like the room will become empty if you just listen to the music.
Yeah.
Because you're literally just lost in the music, but then the lyric starts to like stick to things in your chest because it's like, that lyric is like so undeniable. So my friend Emma has been helping me write a lot of the stuff, and she said, Joe, you can't sing anything while we're in these writing sessions. And I'm like, why? She was like, because singers have the ability to make bad lyrics sound good. And she was like, but that doesn't make it a good lyric. So she's like, my rule for you is when we write together, you can't sing a lick of it until the song is done, and then we'll try it. So that way we know that the lyric is undeniable. And I'm like, that's a good rule.
It's an interesting approach for sure.
It's a very interesting approach. I'm like, well, I have to know that I can see this. Like, you can doctor it up later, but I need to know that the lyric is good.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted this album to like feel just like revolutionary and undeniable, and just you get lost in all of it because like you're like, but the music is like makes you want to move, but the lyrics make me want to think, and it's making me feel things like so I'm really being a student in the process of this new stuff that we're working on, because I'm finding out there's so many ways to listen to music.
Yeah.
Like I realize I listen as a songwriter, so I listen lyric first, melody and like a feel second.
Yeah.
Most musicians listen for instruments, and some consumers listen for vocal, like the vocal texture.
Yes.
They're like, if the music is whatever, the lyrics whatever, but if I like the voice, I'm stuck. Some people's like, I don't care about the voice. I don't care about as long as it makes me feel something, just the overall vibe. I'm like, there's so many different like ways that people are listening to the songs. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be palatable, but I am aiming for each like person and how they listen to it. I'm like trying to be a student of how each person like or listens to the record, so that I can like not like win them over, but serve them. You know what I mean? Like I think Emma also is a very deep thinker, and she helps me, her, Rita, my people, my covering, they help me navigate the priesthood that is in worship and how sacred it is versus the mainstream market and music. And it's like both exist, but also have very big differences on how you approach them from a like internal standpoint. The priesthood is very sacred. She said the one thing that God will get violent about is prostituting the priesthood or treating the bride like a market to be sold to instead of a bride to be served. We have to serve the bride. But I also want to serve the market, which is the mainstream space. So like there's an aspect of me that like loves that. That's why I'm obsessed with like a Lucky. I'm obsessed with like a Phil Collins. I'm obsessed with the Need to Breathe. I'm obsessed with a Ryan Bearhart. They're serving the mainstream market. I don't think Jesus is ever going to be upset about people serving the market. You just have to be willing to serve both. You have to be willing to serve the bride, not sell to it. You have to be willing to serve the market. You know what I'm saying? It's a different. They're different things, not necessarily separate. They can coexist, but there's a different approach because there's a sacred space on the priesthood that cannot be polluted by trying to like write a record that tops the chart of CCLI.
It certainly feels a little bit like that, and I can tell that you don't subscribe to those things.
Yeah.
This record was not written with the hopes of I'm gonna top every chart, but it was written with the ability to do so.
You think so?
I do, yeah. I mean, especially not just the lyrical content, but I mean, Hide and Seek is such a vibe for sure. Living Proof is one of my favorite songs that I've heard in a long time. And I think churches need to do it. Good Shepherd is unbelievable.
It's a dangerous record.
Unbelievable. When you get to that I belong to you, I was on the floor.
That trilogy is very dangerous. Good Shepherd, Testimony to the Song to the Reprise is a very dangerous trilogy.
Yeah, I know. I can't do it unless I have like hours blocked off just to weep bitterly.
Just like 45 minutes.
Hours, plural. No, but what you did was very special.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for more people to hear that record. And to see what we did here today. What you brought into the room was really special. But you also do that anywhere that you go. If you haven't heard The Good Shepherd, I'm going to need you to do me and yourself a favor. Go download that thing. Download 2 copies, send one to your mom. When can we expect that next record from you? That's a great question. I know, for Ian.
Spring or summer of like
Spring.
25, yeah.
Okay.
We should start like the rolling out things because we have a couple of things we're gonna do between now and then. So yeah.
Yeah. Live record or studio?
Studio.
So you're gonna do it here?
I'm open.
No, but for real, I can't tell you how excited I am for everything else that you're gonna be doing. It's only up and up and up from here. If you haven't seen the performance before you came here, there is gonna be a link in the description. So go there, come back here, listen to us talk about it, and then go back there again to hear it one more time, and then watch it again the next day.
Yeah. Then send it to a
Is that
friend.
too many times?
Send it to a friend.
Send
and
it
you
to
guys
your
watch it
friend,
together.
to your girlfriend or boyfriend, to your mom. Play it for your goldfish at home.
Yeah.
He needs it. I'm a mess, I told you, man.
Listen.
Thank you for spending some time with us here and for
Thank you.
hanging out and talking to me.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
I'll scream and shout, dancing on my doubts, 'cause your goodness is all around. I'll scream and shout, dancing on my doubts, feel your goodness all around.